Hi guys. It's been a little bit of a minute, you know what I mean? And life be lifing sometimes, you know. This year I was the most booked that I was ever booked, and I was focusing on that. So it was kind of hard to do bookings plus YouTube plus post reels and post to Patreon. It was a lot, but I found a method that I'm going to stick to, and hopefully it works so that I don't keep telling you every time I come on here, I'm going to be consistent this time, because I know y'all tired of the speech. I'm tired of saying it, you know. But anyway, I wanted to discuss shadow work because I see that a lot of people are intrigued, getting interested in it, and I just want to make sure that people are knowing exactly why you have to do shadow work, and also just understanding why shadow work is so important on your spiritual journey, okay? Because let me tell you something, shadow work is a must. If you are on your spiritual journey and you're just like, oh, I don't do shadow work. Yeah, I don't do that. No, not for me. I don't want to do it. I'm good. Or if you think just journaling about your emotions is shadow work, that's not shadow work, boo. You just journaling. Welcome to healing. But that's not shadow work. When you're on your spiritual journey, you can't skip shadow work. All right. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why you can't skip shadow work. Shadow work is you paying attention to the parts of yourself that you've suppressed, the parts of yourself that has made you feel angry, sad, disappointed, embarrassed, all those emotions that you kind of hid and bottled up. It is now being brought back to light because you need to heal from it. That way you don't project your past wounds onto others when you get triggered by certain things, right? Because when people say stuff to us, it can trigger us, and it's not triggering us most of the time because it's rude. It's triggering us because it's bringing up past feelings. So say, for example, someone ignores you. That shit may make you fucking wild and angry. Why? Because maybe you grew up with parents who ignored you every time you spoke. Maybe you had friendships in the past who ignored you. Maybe you had a partner who would ignore you sometimes when you speak. You know what I'm saying? It's not just ignoring. There's so many other things. We'll go over that. The reason why you want to make sure that you do shadow work is simply because if you are working on your spiritual journey, right, that means you're going to be getting into manifestations. That means you're going to be getting into rituals. That means you're going to be getting into spell work. That means you're even wanting to probably heal certain versions of yourself so you don't repeat things of the past. We'll start off with manifestation, right? You're manifesting a new car, you're manifesting a new house, you're manifesting love, you're manifesting a better career, you're manifesting happiness and peace, right? All of those things that you are manifesting needs to come in a time and a place when you can absolutely handle it, okay? Your manifestations are not just gonna come in on a random Wednesday when you haven't done the inner work. Normally, it's typically coming after you do some of the inner work. And it's not to punish you, you know what I mean? Your spirit team and whoever you work with, they're not punishing you. The reason why your manifestations are coming in at a later time is because you're more than likely able to handle this manifestation and make it last. No one wants to manifest a car and then it gets repoed the next month. No one wants to manifest a house and then 3 months later they're unable to afford it and they can't pay their mortgage. You get what I mean? You want to make sure that your manifestations last. So oftentimes your spirit team will hold off on your manifestations to make sure that when your higher self gets to it, when you and your higher self connect and you finally get that manifestation, you're able to keep it. However, if you're not doing shadow work and you completely skip shadow work and you're just ready to just manifest, you're going to get blockages, right? Your manifestation is going to be put on hold. Or you're going to get your manifestation, but it's not going to be in the exact way you want it. Or you may get your manifestation and that shit may go. Because guess what? You're not able to fully handle it. You're not able to fully grasp what's being given to you, right? Next thing is spell work, okay? You can do spell work for anything. You can do spell work to connect with your ancestors. You can do spell work to gain money. You can do spell work to remove blockages on your business, to cord cut with people so that way you no longer have an attachment to them, to do love spells, to do attraction spells, to pull things towards you. These are all the kinds of things that you can do, right? But if you're not doing your shadow work and you're not doing the inner healings and the inner workings, you're going to block yourself from having these things be achieved. There's so much times when people do spell work and they're like, I did the motherfucking spell and it didn't work. Did you do your motherfucking shadow work? Did you do your shadow work? Did you do your shadow work? I don't think so. I don't think you did the shadow work. And so, that's another reason why you want to get it done. You know what I mean? Because don't you want your spouse to work? You can like all the cinnamon and clothes you want. That shit ain't working if you're not doing shadow work. I tell people all the time, before I manifest, I write in my shadow work book. Before I do any spell work or anything like that, I write in my shadow work book. I try to do shadow work at least once a week. Every day, I don't know, Spirit, that'd be a lot. But you know what I mean? A bitch be trying. You know what I'm saying? And you need to try when you're on your spiritual journey. You cannot be, this is not a journey where you can be lazy. This is not I don't really feel like it. You don't have to feel like it, but they're not going to feel like bringing you that man you want. They're not going to feel like bringing you that money you want. They're not going to feel like bringing you that car you want. You know what I mean? You don't have to feel like it, but they're not going to feel like it either. You know what I mean? So it's all up to you. You know what I mean? Next, we have your North Node. Okay, North Node and South Node. I give people readings based off of this, and I also taught my students a little bit about this. Your North Node is basically going to show you where you need to be focused on in this current version of your life so that you're not confused, okay? So when you have your North Node placed, it's to show you what you need to focus on. So say, for example, you have a North Node in Leo. That means that you need to be focused on building yourself up and being super confident in this lifetime. That means you need to be in the spotlight. You need to be seen. People need to recognize you. People need to be in your corner, in your area, and like amp you up. You need to be comfortable being the leader. Okay, standing firm in your power, holding confidence, okay? That's going to be a key factor for you in this lifetime. If you have a North Node in Cancer, that means that in this lifetime, you need to focus on building a healthy home life, okay? Maybe you didn't grow up with the best family, but that doesn't mean you need to close off yourself and be completely reserved. Create your own soul tribe, create your own family. Don't be closed off from human beings. Open up to people. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself for the things that you've been through. Allow yourself to allow people to come into your area. Don't feel like you have to do everything on your own. There are people around to help you, right? See, by knowing these things, it can help you to prevent repeating your past. The South Node is going to show you your past life. It's going to show you why the fuck you was sent here, some of the traumas you brought from that life into this life, so that way you don't repeat the same mistakes. Now, knowing your North Node is so important and your South Node is so important because it helps you grow, right? And so if you aren't doing the shadow work, you're not going to heal from that shit. And you're going to repeat the same thing, and you're going to be reincarnated again with a harsher life till you learn that motherfucking lesson. Okay? So, shadow work is important. As you can see, it blocks many things if it's not done. It can block your manifestation. It can block your spell work. It can block you from elevating in this lifetime. And I always tell people to do shadow work, and they think I'm telling them to do it to just be annoying or because I want to see them cry. No, Mitch, I don't want to see you cry. I don't want you to cry, but I'm kind of tired of hearing you complain about the same shit when all you got to do is do your shadow work. Okay? So I do want to go over a little bit of why we are focusing on shadow work in this video, because I just feel like a lot of people need to get into their emotions. So the whole entire reason of why it's even called shadow work in the first place is because you're connecting parts of yourself that you've neglected or that you've suppressed or that you aren't even aware that you are embarrassed by, okay? Like, for example, jealousy. A lot of people don't like to admit that they're jealous, but that's completely normal to feel. Now, I'm not saying it's normal to react on a jealousy, but it's normal to feel jealousy within your body. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you are going through a rough patch of your life and you see someone who just made $1 million deal. You're like, well, goddamn, why can't that be me? Why can't I have that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that needs shadow work on. You know what I mean? You getting extremely angry when people ignore you. Instead of just being like, okay, I'm done with this individual, I don't like being ignored. You take it personally. You start to get angry. You start to prey on their downfall. You start to wish negativities about them. You know what I mean? Maybe you can't handle someone telling you no. Maybe every time someone tells you no, they can't help you or no, they can't give you something, you spiral out of control and then you strike up your hyper independence where you go in this deep phase of not asking anybody things for months. Okay, these are all things that shadow work can help you work with. Okay, it's more than that. You can even use shadow work for codependency. You can use shadow work for healing your parent wound traumas. I always tell people you do not need the other party to help you heal. So if you're dealing with shit from your parents and they're just not in a phase where they can help you, or they're not in a phase where they're ready to take accountability, you don't need them. You can do shadow work without them. There's so much shadow work activities you can do to help you cope with the trauma that your parents have given you. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're live, whether you're contact, no contact, whether they're still in your face 24/7, you can do shadow work and you do not need them. You can heal on your own, right? And shadow work is so important because it's going to help you learn to react from a logical standpoint rather than reacting from a emotional standpoint, right? Because initially, you don't want to be cursing everybody out every time they hurt your feelings. You don't want to be passive aggressive every time somebody hurts your feelings. You don't want to be negative Nancy every time somebody hurts your feelings. You want to be able to move in a logical sense point, and you also don't want anybody to control your mood or your emotions. I always tell people, when someone can control your mood or emotions, then they can easily like say something and it makes you angry or makes you disappointed or makes you sad. They have control over you. And you don't want anybody having control over you, right? I don't think you do. I don't feel like you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here one by one with you. I don't feel like you want that for yourself. You know, I'm going to just assume. And I don't feel like my assumption is wrong, you know? And so if you don't want people to have this control over you, you need to be able to do your shadow work, because shadow work is going to help you understand your triggers and understand why you're triggered. Now, you can simply start off shadow work by asking yourself, why did that bother me? Why did this person saying this make me feel this way? Why do I feel this way? The whys, the whys, the whys. Ask yourself why is an easy way to start off shadow work, because you can be brutally honest in your shadow work book and no one's going to come to attack you, because guess the fuck what? This is your shadow work book and this is not for you to share with others. Okay? This is just for you. This ain't for you to share with anybody else. This is just for you. So what you want to do is you literally want to ask yourself why. Okay? Why? Because starting off with the whys is going to help you break down things. And then midway of you writing the whys, you're probably going to bring up stuff from when you were a child. Oh, Tiffany stole my lunchbox and that's why I get this, that. Or so-and-so when I was on the playground ignored me and this, that. You get what I mean? It's going to make sense to you why you felt with those things. And then you're going to help yourself. You're going to help yourself heal through these things. And that's why I love shadow work so much, because you are helping yourself heal. And this is one of the hardest parts of the journey. I always tell people, I had a shadow work course and like people didn't fully go through with it. People didn't want to do the shadow work portion. People would get really upset after doing shadow work because it was a lot to deal with. And I always tell people, when you do shadow work and you are actually able to get through it and sit through it and stuff like that, you are motherfucking invincible. And I don't mean getting through it to the point of like not crying. I mean actually sitting your ass down and writing. Okay, not just one page, maybe 2 pages, 3 pages, whatever the case may be. But crying is normal. And when you start crying doing your shadow work, you already know you healing. You already know you healing, boo. You already know you're healing. All right. Now with shadow work, you are going to need a separate book for yourself. Okay. Do not have your manifestation book with your shadow work book, with your journaling book. No. You need its own separate book. And I think that you should be using this book to utilize your shadow self. Okay. Now also what you want to do is you want to use black pen or pencil. Black pen or pencil. Black pen or pencil. Black pen or pencil. Check my last video on manifestation so I can tell you what the colors of the ink usage is. But initially you want to use black pencil because black is used for banishing and getting rid of any negative energies and any negative things and stuff like that. And it's just you're expelling things. Okay. So when you are doing shadow work, I just want to say that there's so many ways that you can do it. I personally give people shadow work questions. I have a few on my page that already has been listed for people and stuff like that if they want to work on it and stuff. But I personally have people book sessions with me so that they can do their shadow work. You can either book your Heal With Me version or you can just book shadow work questions just in general. But the reason why I have it as a book thing, you can totally ask ChatGPT, give me some shadow work questions, but it's not going to be beneficial towards you because you need someone who is a reader, or you need to be super fucking honest with yourself to be able to direct where it's coming from and why you're feeling these things. So what I do with people when I give them shadow work questions is I typically pull out my cards and I read them on a situation. Then based off of the situation I'm reading, I give them a question. I ask spirit, what do they need shadow work on? Spirit will pull something from their childhood to their dating life to maybe their current self. But I'm helping you to heal yourself by giving you direct questions that's going to help you. You don't want to just pull a random question off of TikTok, ChatGPT, or Pinterest, because yeah, you may have traumas with that type of stuff, but maybe, how do I say this? Maybe you don't need that much working on it. Maybe that's not the key focus. Maybe you're avoiding something that's way bigger that you need to work on. You get what I mean? So I like to give people mini readings and then give them their shadow work questions to help themselves. Now, when you are doing shadow work, you want to make sure that you are taking a week to answer one question. I know that may seem extreme, but the reason why I tell people to take a week is because you're dealing with a lot of emotions. I get it. It is a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot to endure. And so you want to make sure that you are able to get out all your emotions. So I say a week because when you're writing and it becomes too much and you're over here sobbing, close the book, rest, say your prayers, come back to it the next day, or come back to it 2 days from now. But just know you got to come back to it. You cannot close the book and be like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. Like, nah, when you do shadow work, you gotta stand firm in it. You gotta be like, I did this already. Now I'm coming back to it. I gotta hit back at it. You know what I mean? And I just want to let you know that, like, you taking the opportunity to do your shadow work, you're healing generational trauma. You know what I mean? You're healing generational trauma. Okay? Dealing with stuff from your grandparents, dealing with stuff from your parents, you know what I'm saying? You're healing generational trauma. Instead of sitting on the trauma and just like ignoring it and telling yourself like, oh, this is okay, I'm fine living like this. You're actually taking the necessary steps to heal. A lot of people have looked me dead in my eye and say, I don't need to heal, I'm good, I already know what I need to do. And you're not good. And in fact, you're very far from good. You're the farthest you've ever been from good. And I hate to be an asshole, but it's just like anybody looking you in your eye and telling you they don't need healing, they don't need to do inner work, are the people that need the inner work the motherfucking most. You know what I mean? I don't need to do shadow work. Yes, you motherfucking do. Yeah, you do. Okay? I didn't want to do shadow work when I first started my journey. It was very difficult to get through. It was very difficult to cope with. I was bringing up old wounds. I was getting upset and angry because I had thought I healed from these things, but now I got to talk about it again. It's a lot. I get it. But I would never go back to the version of me that wasn't doing shadow work. Okay? Like, I'm cool off her, okay? Because now I can respond logically, and now I know not to get triggered. Now, I'm not saying people don't upset me and anger me and annoy me. People definitely do when they say certain things. It definitely does still trigger me. And trigger me to the point where I get annoyed and I get angry. But I'm not letting it rule my emotions. You get what I mean? Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, you're a cunt, you're a bitch. All right, let me see why you being a cunt and a bitch is bringing out this side of me. You know what I mean? So shadow work was never intended to make you depressed, okay? Shadow work was literally curated so you can live a life of peace, so you're not carrying generational traumas. There's so much people that are like, I don't want to be anything like my mom. I don't want to be anything like my dad. I don't want to be like my grandfather. Well, if you don't want to be like any of those folks, you need to start healing. Shadow work can be used on relationships too. You are taking the necessary steps to heal these things and cope with these things. I can assure you and promise you, you're going to be on a better journey, and you're going to be able to attract your soul tribe and attract the people that you want and need. I see so many times people are saying, oh my God, why do I attract this person? Why do I attract this person? Why do I do this? Most of the time you're attracting these people because sometimes these individuals can put up a good mask, right? But if you do shadow work, you're going to be able to avoid these individuals because you won't be so You won't be so codependent on their energy. So when they come into your life and you see that they're a narcissist, you'll be like, When you see they're trying to breadcrumb you and give you a little bit of love and then ghost you, give you a little bit of love and ghost you, you'll be like, You're triggering my inner child. You get what I mean? So shadow work is a better way to helping you to understand yourself. Understanding who you are, giving yourself grace, and coping through the things that you need to cope with in this lifetime. I do think that it is a very necessary step on this journey. And I do feel like if you are avoiding shadow work, you ain't on a spiritual journey. You're just on a journey. You know what I mean? So I do want you guys to be able to utilize shadow work and just add it to your life. Okay, I'm gonna have some shadow work questions listed right here for you based off of certain topics. We're gonna do a topic on romance, okay, because romance is one of the major things that people do need shadow work on, especially if you're in a dynamic or relationship where you're a people pleaser and you're with somebody who is emotionally abusive and they just keep taking, but don't give your shit back. You know what I mean? Shadow work is going to help you to integrate with that. Shadow work questions for emotionally absent parents. Maybe your parent is physically in front of your face, but they're emotionally absent to ever helping you or ever being of need to you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you have money problems, you know? You need to do shadow work with money and allowing yourself to believe that money is flowing your way and not having resentment towards people who do have money. Okay, maybe you struggle with confidence. Maybe you are lacking confidence in certain areas and that's what's holding you back from really propelling. Basically, there's shadow work on everything. I don't want anybody to come to me telling me, oh my God, I need shadow work questions. Oh my God, can I get free shadow work questions? Because I've given you guys more than enough free shadow work questions. I've given about maybe like 6 shadow work questions on my tarot page, and then now I'm giving you guys a whole plethora of shadow work questions. So I do want you guys to utilize it. I'm here to tell you there will be no more free shadow work questions being given after this. I've given you all the shadow work you need. You got about 7-8 weeks of shadow work questions. I need to see them done. I will be checking on you guys in the broadcast channel to see if you've actually done the shadow work questions, okay? Because it ain't a joke. This reminds me, I also got to text my clients that I gave shadow work questions to and hit them up. I do check-ins with my clients too. And I'm like, hey, how are you? Great, you're doing wonderful. Did you do the shadow work question I gave you a month ago? Because I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. I know that most readers, sometimes they like leave their clients alone and stuff like that. I like to check in on mine. You know what I mean? I like to see where you're going, where you're progressing. Especially if you are a reoccurring client. I have so many clients where I just know them by their name. Like literally, it's getting to that point where I know them by their names. If I know you by your name, I'm coming for you. And I'm definitely going to check if you've done your shadow work, okay? Make sure you guys check out my What's Coming For You in July video. I just posted a video on my other channel, Tarot by Anasia, letting you guys know what's coming towards you in July, okay? I'm hoping to be consistent on both channels and just bringing you guys positivity, love, and joy and all that stuff because I want to definitely be more consistent on here, okay? Instead of posting on Reels 24/7. I'm still posting on Reels. I just want more longer form. Oh shit, damn. I'm not gonna edit this out. Y'all need to, yeah, whatever. I want to post more longer form videos for you guys, just to let you guys know that like you don't got to deal with 5-minute videos with me. You can have long form videos, and also so you can have something to come back to. I feel like YouTube is way easier to find videos and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, please subscribe and like this video. I would truly appreciate it. If you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if it resonated with you. Let me know if you are starting your shadow work. Make sure you comment a black heart if you are starting your shadow work journey for the first time. And yeah, I really hope to see you guys doing your shadow work, okay? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day.
Okay.